Again, I'm not going to go through this, but what this is trying to show is that we need to, we're going to think about how do we move from what's a fairly traditional workforce planning process, which is the one described on the left, into something that's far more dynamic and integrated on the right. And it's interesting when you begin to look at the dimensions about, you know, it's got to be driven by service needs, we've got to reflect not organisational structures, but we need to workforce plan around patient pathways or care groups, and begin to think about the workforce in its entirety around those patient pathways, for example. We need to look at skill mix, not just by what your job title is, doctor, nurse, but around competencies. And what sort of competencies do you require to do the job, regardless of your title? Integration, and key one for us here is not just about health, it's about health, social care, in our case, primary, secondary and tertiary services. No point having a wonderful tertiary service all workforce planned and delivered, then when the person leaves hospital, we haven't thought through the workforce implications of delivering the service out in the home or out in the community. So, interesting chart there. I think you could sit down and think, where are you? Plot yourself in your organisation. Are you towards the left or are you towards the right? But we're certainly trying to shift the NHS workforce planning agenda to that right-hand side. Running out of time, so I'll skip over 2 slides. That again is just describing some of the key elements of that chart. I think integration, buy-in and ownership are all key issues for us. And that means involving line managers, the wider community outside health as well, which is one of the reasons I'm here today. I'll leave that one. My role in terms of delivering all this at a regional level, it's about, I've tried to sort of throw in some key bullet points. My job is really trying to set a strategic framework for workforce planning and set up some of the regional processes. I don't know what it's like in social services and local government. Sometimes organisational boundaries, i.e. NHS boards, create barriers. One of my jobs is to make sure some of those barriers disappear. So it doesn't matter whether it's NHS borders or NHS Lothian, we need to look at the issues across those boundaries. And actually, some of the barriers disappear very quickly, to be honest, because people are really want to get involved and get excited with this agenda. We need to align planning with our education and organisational development agendas and make sure they're all pushing towards the common direction. And sometimes they're not, for historical reasons. Apply the assessment process, i.e. the 3 A's, 3 tests that I described earlier on. I personally lead on some key regional workforce planning issues and take the lead on some of the key national issues. So one of the projects or strategies we're going to implement is a review of community nursing. And some of the early implementer sites are NHS Borders and NHS Lothian. And I'm heavily involved in that initial piece of work to begin the planning for making that happen. And that will have an impact not just on the health service, but on social services as well, as we change some of the roles within the community teams. I help set some of the regional workforce planning agenda with my chief executives who represent the boards on CIAT. Part of my role is about developing greater awareness and ownership of the workforce planning agenda across the region and across the sectors. It's about building capacity and capability through education and training of our planning teams, but also across our line management teams and functions as well, and about building relationships and ensuring communication flows across what are 3 very large organisations employing 135,000 employees in the NHS in Scotland and 33,000 across South East of Scotland. Well, I'll leave you with this. Workforce planning is about puzzles and problems. A lot of people think workforce planning is a puzzle and there's an answer at the end. There's 42. It's not. It's not a crossword. It's not a mathematical equation. It's a problem. And with any problem, you have to make sure you're answering the right question to begin with. And then it's about picking the best fit rather than the one answer that gives you the solution. So